So a while back, a student asked me, Mr. Feltz, how do you make perler beads? And he wanted written instructions. I thought it might be easier to make a video to show it. So let's go through that process now. And I'll have a couple different beads that I'll be showing throughout that process. So it won't be the same one I'm using. Let's get started, shall we? So I start my process by logging into Pinterest. A lot of students think I can just make anything that I want, but really I have to look up a picture and I just follow the picture. So today, do I want to make a dragon? Happy little pig? Ooh, maybe Bowser and Peach getting married. Oh, how about this? Silly old man. I like that one. So I have to decide, let's open image in a new tab. I have to decide, do I want it to be, here you are. Do I want it to be this way, so it's facing that way, or do I want the mirror image? Because it depends on how I want this face to go. Do I want it to the right or the left? For this one, let's download this, save image as. Let's save it as silly old man. So I think I want this one to be a different mirror image. I want it to face to the left instead. So I use this simple, edit button over here. And then my computer, hey me, my computer has this thing down here that I can flip it. And so now I'm gonna make it backwards, if you will, or mirrored image, if you will. And then that way, when I do my taping method process and pull it off the pegboard, it'll face the direction I want it to for the ironing process. For the next step, we're going to use this image right here. I think this is from Night Before Christmas. And I just get out all my perler beads. So I have it all set out and ready to go. I got my poking sticks here. And I'll have to figure out, I need some red, looks like a gray, and some black. So I got my ASMR blacks here. I got my reds right here. And let's see, I don't like that gray. Oh, I like that one. So I then pop that open, sorry. One-handed is hard. I got my grays, got my blacks, got my reds. I've started it already, just a little bit, as you can see. So my method, especially when I make these big ones, people are always like, how do you do that? I literally just kind of zoom in and follow one at a time. So I see this right here is that right there. And it looks like I have to go 2 over, 2 up, 2 up. And there's a long one there, so we'll just do that. So I simply go 2 over. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake already. 2 over, 2 up, and 2 more up. And then I just repeat this process. I have to take my time and use my right hand because my left one is injured from making so many, and so it takes quite a while. Let's see what the next phase is. So the next phase, I have a unicorn here to show this, and I've done some already. I call the tape method. When I was first ironing perler beads, I noticed as I was ironing them, my arm or something would shift the beads, and it was just a real nightmare, and I had a hard time. So I discovered the tape method. And I simply tape the bead, grab some right here, and I figure out, trying to lay it down very gently, because the one problem with this method is if you make a mistake, you do have to take the whole section apart and fix it. It's kind of annoying. It looks like I have a little bit peeking out over here, so let's just take a smidgen. Again, I don't want to make a mistake here. And if I can take just a smidgen out of this, I can cover up the entire thing. Once I do this, I take some more just duct tape roll, and I press down on the whole thing, trying to make sure that those beads really stick to the tape. They can shift sometimes and move around, and it makes the next process kind of difficult. The next part, by the way, is I have to poke holes in all of these beads so that they can, I guess you could say, breathe. I made the mistake once of doing the tape method without poking holes, and oh my gosh, did that bead just like balloon up and it couldn't close in certain holes. It looked just awful. So after I do this, I grab one of my handy dandy poking sticks and I just start poking holes. I used to have a method where I would take a smaller pegboard and it would just, I'd press it down, and it was a fantastic method, but I don't know what happened. It stopped working. So every time I would press it down, as I lifted it up, the beads would like come up with it and it would shift, and it was annoying. So for the longer projects, this is kind of annoying. One of my biggest ones, I had to do this for 70 minutes straight, and that was a beast, but the project was really cool. I now have a completed one where I've already poked all the holes and put the tape. Now this is something I just discovered, is when I cut off the edges, it helps when I peel it off, because sometimes I've noticed lately when I peel it off, some of the beads shift and move around, and not all of them come off the pegboard, and so you have to fill it in later, which is kind of annoying. So now what I've done is I just kind of very carefully, you got to be really careful with this part. I've already cut off a lot of this already, but I very carefully kind of peel this off and just cut a little bit towards the edge. And this, I don't know why, just kind of helps when I do the next step. Okay, I go for one more round of just pressing it down. Really want to make sure they stick to that tape. And here we go, the big reveal. Is it going to come off nice and easy? Voila. And now he is facing the exact way that I want him to. I'm going to put him in the Perler room, and he's going to face towards the right, which is what I wanted. And now we come to my least favorite part of this process, is the ironing. I just don't enjoy it at all, but it's part of making a Perler bead. Kiddos, if you're watching this, make sure you have an adult supervisor, not even supervise, have them do it for you, because, those hot irons are not anything you want to deal with. So what I use is just good old-fashioned parchment paper. I take some, I got a big piece here already, and I lay it over, and then I just begin. And I try to just go carefully, just little swoops at a time. The bigger projects, oh my golly gee, I made an elephant for my cousin. I want to say it took over 10 hours, over 3 days to make it. Took 70 minutes to, tape and poke holes. And then it took a good hour straight to iron that guy. And boy, was it not fun. So when I do this, just slow circle patterns with a little bit of pressure I'm applying, I just kind of keep an eye on it. And I like to have it be flat. I know some people like it to be pixelated, but I found if you can iron it so it's flat on one side, then the opposite side is nice and pixelated. I'll finish this up and then I'll show you how I peel it off. All right, so this ironed, very nicely. This next part I've actually been having trouble with, because when you peel this off, if you stumble and don't do it in one fell swoop, it creates like a crease or a line on it, and that just bothers me. So what I tend to do is I use my handy dandy butter knife, and I just go to the corner, hold it down, and then just peel. Oh, that worked really nicely. And let's see, how did this turn out? Oh, quite lovely. And then, again with my knife, because this is very hot, I kind of hold it down and peel off. And so we have a nice pixelated, hot, pixelated side and flat side, hot! Now I think this next process is actually oops, sorry there. Bump the table. That happens too. Sometimes if you bump something, those perlers just fall apart, and that's always a bummer. So as I was saying, I think this next process is very important. As you can see already, it started to curve a little bit. So what I do is I just lay it under some parchment, and I stack books on top. The weight of these books applies some pressure to the bead, and I don't know, this one's not much weight. It just really, I've found, helps keep it flat. If you don't do this, the bead just curls up, and I don't know, I just don't think it looks as cool. So I usually let those sit overnight. I'm sure a few hours will suffice, but better to be safe than sorry. And then once you're done, you can admire your Perler bead. And they're just super fun to have and hang out around the house in the Perler room. Oh, I should probably show that next, actually. And yeah, that's my Perler bead process. I hope you found it helpful, and you can start making beads on your own.